It's hard to believe we're already at Season 6 of Fortnite, but here we are. The previous season ended with a bang, and the new season started with a pow. Our favorite cube, known around the interwebs as Kevin, decided to dive into Loot Lake, and when he finally decided to come back up for air, everything changed for the better. Well, mostly for the better. But before we get into all the awesome changes in Fortnite Season 6, subscribe to TheGamer and ring that bell. Without further ado, let's get started. The biggest question mark heading into Season 5 was how Kevin would affect everything. We were all full of shock and awe when lightning struck in the desert region to bring Kevin into this world. What was his role? Where did he come from? We never really got those answers, but it didn't take a genius to know the cube had an important part to play in the transition to Season 6. Kevin made his way around the map as the 7 ruins that were created seemed to guide him towards his end goal. While it seemed like he would never return after he fell into Loot Lake with plenty of Fortnite players mourning his loss, he wasn't actually gone. Luckily for us, Kevin came back with a vengeance and lifted the Loot Lake Island all by himself. The floating island quickly became the top tourist destination in Fortnite since Season 6 began. As you can see in this clip by YouTuber 23 Small Fry, it looks like Angel Island from Sonic the Hedgehog and has some interesting mechanics. If you're caught in the tornado underneath it, you'll get shot all the way to the top so you could safely make your way onto the surface. You could even bounce off of Kevin on the way up, but don't worry, he's a nice guy and won't damage you. The circle of wind outside of the island will also keep you afloat, so you don't have to worry about fall damage around the floating island. There's plenty of loot to be found there, and the Loot Lake house is still intact, but we couldn't believe our eyes when the island actually started moving. It seems to be following the exact same ruin path Kevin followed, but in reverse order. Very interesting. Speaking of the 7 ruins, none of them look the same in Season 6 as they did in Season 5. Something happened. They're much larger and darker locations now, known as corrupted areas. Showcased by YouTuber Remvilliers, these areas are real creepy. The music changes once you get close to the location, and you just feel a bit off. It's spooky and eerie, which matches the theme of Season 6, since it'll go through Halloween. That being said, what's so special about these new corrupted areas, you ask? Well, plenty of things. For starters, each of these areas has some floor loot, and they could even have multiple chests. Don't get your hopes up though, because they could have no chests at all. Hey, we're just looking out for you. Along with the great loot, you also have access to shadow stones, showcased here by YouTuber Vicstar123. The consumables are typically found around corrupted areas, but can be found in other locations as well. Consuming a shadow stone will give your character a shadow form for 45 seconds, which is a lot of time in Fortnite. Being in shadow form doesn't allow you to fire weapons and get kills, but believe it or not, it's still an incredibly useful ability. This all sounds great on paper, but the shadow stones were glitching out really badly. Players were permanently invisible, but still able to fire their guns, which was completely unfair. News quickly got back to Epic Games, and they decided to remove the shadow stones from the game as they worked on a fix. It took a while, but the shadow stones are back in the game and ready for some ghostly action. With Halloween coming closer by the day, Epic Games knew they had to do something to pumpkin spice things up. When it comes to the spookiest areas of Fortnite, there's no one better to explore them than the aptly named YouTuber Spook. The most scary area of Fortnite is undoubtedly Haunted Hills, which got completely revamped for Season 6. The mountainside area is the same, but on top of the mountain, there's now a huge haunted castle you could explore. Looking like Dracula's castle straight out of Transylvania, this castle is gorgeous in a dark and sinister kind of way. Don't worry though, there's no jump scares there, just plenty of loot so you could jump scare your enemies. Spook didn't just explore Haunted Hills, he also glided his way over to Wailing Woods, where he noticed something rather interesting. For starters, there are plenty of creepy cabins around the forest that weren't there in Season 5. Well, they're more like mansions made out of wood than a cabin, kinda like Boo's haunted house in the side-scrolling Super Mario games. They have multiple floors, and it's not surprising to find a chest or 2 in the cabin. Second of all, he noticed the maze wasn't really a maze anymore, as there were just 2 walls of bushes. The textures on the floor of the Wailing Woods maze were much different than before. On closer inspection, Spook broke the floor and entered the secret bunker underneath the maze. It's so big, with plenty of rooms and floors to explore. It's the new supervillain lair. Another great place to hide out in Fortnite Season 6 is the new cornfields you could find around Fatal Fields. The tall grass in the large fields makes it difficult for anyone to see you unless they're above you, which prompted YouTuber Yode to play hide and seek with his squad in these cornfields. It's a neat addition to the game that not only gives us more of an incentive to land on Fatal Fields, but it will allow players to be more stealthy on the open plain. And if you start swinging your pickaxe around the cornfield, you'll get some materials in the form of wood. So we'd like to think it's a win-win scenario. Something that'll blow your cover in the cornfields would be your pet dog, chameleon, or dragon that you, for some reason, decide to bring with you on the battlefield. Showcased here by YouTuber GameSpot Gameplays, we don't quite understand why you'd bring a living thing with you to an island where everyone's trying to eliminate each other to be the last one standing, but they're just so darn cute. You have Bonesy, the cute little puppy who's a play on words with Jonesy, the blonde no-skinner dude. You can unlock him at tier 12 of the Battle Pass. We promise his bark is much stronger than his bite. Then you have Camo the Chameleon, who you unlock at tier 29 of the Battle Pass. Camo the Chameleon. What an original name, Epic. Last but not least, there's Scales the Dragon, who's unlockable at tier 43 of the Battle Pass. They all have variants unlockable at later tiers that make them even cuter or deadlier than they already are. As with every season update, there's also huge changes to the weapons. Some positive, some negative. Well, it's mostly negative, actually, but we'll give you the good news first. Everyone's favorite utility weapon, the Grappler, now has momentum built into it, meaning you could reach higher heights and be sent flying faster than ever. That's great and all, but please make sure you're seated because it's time for the bad news. The catch is that the Grappler now only holds 10 shots as opposed to 15, so you can't abuse it. Lame. If you actually did the math though, you'd know this all meant we'd have to lose some weapons. That's right, it's time to press F to pay your respects to the Impulse Grenade, the Suppressed Submachine Gun, the Light Machine Gun, the Bounce Pads, and those pesky Remote Explosives. They're all in the vault now, meaning they'll stay in the playground mode and may make a reappearance in limited time modes down the line. While we won't miss most of them, it really hurts us to see the LMG out of Fortnite Battle Royale. As you can see in this gameplay by YouTuber Muselk, the weapon was so powerful and so easy to use. It was the noob weapon of dreams and we'll miss it dearly. While Epic Games decided to get rid of bounce pads, they quickly replaced them with the brand spanking new chiller traps. Just in time for the cold weather. As showcased by YouTuber TBNR Kenworth, the chiller traps are quite simple. Essentially, if you step on this trap, it gives your character slippery ice boots, which does exactly what you think it would. For a short time, it makes your player move slowly and slide around the map. Luckily, not all changes are bad. Now, thanks to the Season 6 update, console players could actually customize their controller binds right in the settings of the game.
PC players are so much better than console players because of keybinds.
Enough! There's no more excuses because you controller users now have your own binds. This is great news for console players and those who game with controllers on PC. However, don't fire up your controller to play on PC anytime soon. Epic Games introduced input-based matchmaking along with custom controller binds, which allows you to be put into lobbies with those who use the same input device as you. It essentially means that if you play with a keyboard and mouse on console, you'll play with those who also use the board and mouse, so it's fair to console players who are playing the traditional way. If you want to get wrecked on the dance floor, there's going to be a new game mode for just that. Known as Disco Domination, this is the mode where players are battling to control and defend disco floors placed around the map. Just think of the Call of Duty Domination mode that's incredibly popular among players of that game, but with a Fortnite twist. When you think about it, the storm is the engine that keeps Fortnite going. Imagine playing without having the storm close in on the players. It would just be a bunch of people camping and the game would last forever. That's why the circle shrinking mechanic is hands down the most important one in Fortnite and all battle royales out there. The storm looks absolutely gorgeous in Season 6. The swirl swirling hurricane-like clouds and the constant lightning look great. Not only did the look of the storm change, but so did the wait times and shrink times. If you haven't noticed, wait times for all safe zones have been reduced, but the shrink times have been increased. But if you really want to outrun the storm as quickly as possible, check out this clip by Redditor Schwarzenegger. Using the aforementioned chiller trap, he placed it on a downward ramp and took advantage of his icy boots by using shockwave grenades to increase his speed as he slides across the frozen tundra of Lazy Links. Calculated. There have been so many incredible changes that have shaped Fortnite Season 6 to be the best one yet. What's your favorite change for Season 6? Are there any that we may have missed? Let us know in the comments section below. And don't forget, subscribe to TheGamer for more Fortnite content. Thanks for watching.